Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on Jan van Riebeeck. Hy bliksem. Everything that's wrong in this country is Jan van Riebeeck's fault. In case you didn't know. You just need to listen to the ANC. Whenever they can't explain something that they messed up on, then it's Jan van Riebeeck's fault. You know, because apartheid, that excuse is wearing thin with us being in a democracy now for 31 years. And now, of course, they can just fall back to colonialism and can blame old Jan van Riebeeck. It's absolutely amazing. Over the last 32 years of the government being the ANC government, they have done nothing wrong. They haven't taken accountability or responsibility for anything they've done wrong. It's always either apartheid's fault, or if that doesn't work, arme o Jan van Riebeeck. And the reason I say that is because Cyril Ramaphosa was recently addressing a conference in Johannesburg, and then when talking about shipping routes, he referred to the route that Jan van Riebeeck took and then blamed Jan van Riebeeck and said that he is the reason that so many things were stolen and land were possessed, and it's absolutely atrocious. Now, I'm going to show you the article and the context of this, but before I do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything. And the overwhelming majority of you that regularly watch my content aren't subscribed, but you can fix that by just clicking the subscribe button below. It'll be greatly appreciated. All right, so let's see what the ANC and Cyril Ramaphosa had to say about Jan van Riebeeck this time. My Broadband posted this article, and kudos to the staff writer for being based and not taking this lying down. Whoever staff writer is, you deserve a raise. Please go and follow My Broadband, Business, Tech and Newsday. Phenomenal media outlets that's doing God's work. Well done. Anyway, President Cyril Ramaphosa's strange comments about Jan van Riebeeck and shipping routes. Let's have a look. President Cyril Ramaphosa says Jan van Riebeeck used trading routes which had always existed to come to South Africa to plunder. Yeah, because it's like when you build a highway, right? The routes just always remain there. The ocean becomes stagnant and you can even paint street lines on the water. It's absolutely ridiculous. This was one of the comments during the South African president's speech at the inaugural National Transport Conference in Johannesburg on 16 March 2026. He said the current conflict in the Middle East has placed a spotlight on the country's ports and their strategic value. When major shipping routes are disrupted, South Africa has an opportunity to position itself as an alternative hub, he said. At this point, Ramaphosa went off script, arguing that the phrase position itself was incorrect because the shipping route had been there since time immemorial. Yes, yeah. So he's going even further. Like, this route just always existed. It's got street markings and everything. The water doesn't move in that specific part. It's so idiotic. That is why Jan van Riebeeck, arme Jan, utilized it to come and plunder and dispossess properties from our people. It was because of this route, he said. Arme Jan, he just wanted to create like a little watering hole in a refreshments area, a Snoopy. And now he's blamed for everything that's wrong in this country, even over 400 years later. Go figure. However, Ramaphosa's view is misguided, and this is where staff writer becomes very based, and I love it. Shipping routes are established by humans who have to balance geography, economics, and international law. These routes are invisible paths calculated to be the most efficient and safest way to move cargo between different harbors. The Cape Sea route, for example, was a multi-stage process driven by the Portuguese Age of Discovery to find a direct maritime route to the lucrative spice markets of Asia. Bartolomé Dias was the first European to officially establish the viability of the Cape Sea route. He rounded the southern tip of Africa in 1488, naming it the Cape of Storms. King John II of Portugal later renamed it the Cape of Good Hope. While Diaz proved it could be done, Vasco da Gama was the one who actually completed the journey to India. He set sail in 1497, rounded the Cape and reached Calcutta, India in 1498. This effectively established the first regular maritime link between Europe and Asia. The route became a permanent fixture of global trade when the Dutch East Indian Company recognized the need for a halfway house. Jan van Riebeeck was sent to the Cape in 1652 to establish a victualling station. It provided ships with fresh water, meat, and vegetables. The station drastically reduced scurvy-related mortality and made the long-haul voyage around the Cape commercially sustainable. This history illustrates how shipping routes are established, a far cry from Ramaphosa's claims that the Cape Sea route existed from time immemorial. And it goes on, but I'm not here to teach you a history lesson. There we go. That's our president, blaming Jan van Riebeeck, somebody that arrived here almost 400 years ago. I wonder if the ANC has ever taken accountability for one of their failures. Because if it's not apartheid, and then it's Jan van Riebeeck. And if it's not Jan van Riebeeck, then it is colonialism, which he forms a part of. The poor guy just arrived here to create a refreshment station, a bikkie mampoer and a little bit of vegetables over there to greet people and to prevent people from getting scurvy and dying. But ultimately, it's Jan's fault, right? Which I also find quite interesting because the Xhosa and the Zulu only met white people for the first time roughly at Port Alfred, at the Fish River. That was the first time that British or Afrikaners or the Dutch met the tribes that came from East Africa. So they met the Khoi and the San there, which is the first people of our nation. So when he says, when the president says our people, like, they are our people too, as white people, because, you know, they were the first people of this nation. But don't for a second act like the Xhosa and the Zulu and the Sotho and the Venda were in the Cape of Good Hope when Jan van Riebeeck arrived. It's simply not true. But once again, you know, you can tell your own history because, you know, 1994 you won the elections and now you're just rewriting the history books just like you are renaming towns and places in this country to make it seem like that is what you built, when in actual fact it's not the case. But just to get back to the point, the ANC, ask yourself this question. Whenever, over the last 32 years, have they taken accountability and responsibility for their failures? It is either apartheid, colonialism, or Jan van Riebeeck. And here we go, even when Jan van Riebeeck's name doesn't need to be mentioned, Cyril Ramaphosa mentions his name and then of course insults him and attacks him and make the claims that he came to steal and he came to do this and that. This is the level of the ANC in 2026. This is where they are right now, where they are so desperate, knowing that 2026 election is going to destroy them even further, and then in 2029 they are going to be completely done. They are done. So now they are so desperate that they are going back to their old tricks that never worked in the past, but now they are attempting it again to put people on a guilt trip. Jammer om van julle kak te hoor. Those days are over. You've had 32 years to improve this country for everybody, starting with the poorest of the poor, the most vulnerable, the previously disadvantaged. You had 32 years and trillions of taxpayers' rands to fix it, and you did nothing with it. You didn't build a new town. You didn't build a new city. You built a couple of hospitals here, a couple of schools there. Where's the rest of the trillions of rands? So stop blaming Jan van Riebeeck. Stop blaming colonialism. Stop blaming white people. And look at yourselves as an organization that is 99.9% black and hold yourself accountable. Because not everything is the white man's fault. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to share this video far and wide. Don't forget to smash that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Like I said, it's free. It will be greatly appreciated. However, if you would like to contribute financially to this channel, you can give a super thanks by clicking the $ below, or you can become a member to this channel by clicking the join button below, and you can click on that to see the perks and everything, and then that'll cost you R39.99 in support of me and in support of this channel, and it will be greatly appreciated. And that's all I got to say. Till later. Cheers and peace out. Cheers and peace out.
my massacre. You don't even know me, but everybody see you say, my massacre, my massacre. You don't even know me, but everybody see you say, my massacre, my massacre.